Mr. Chairman,
Senator McDougle.
I advised you of this before, but
Sure.
after we hear from Judge Harris, I'm going to make a motion in reference to the one witness that appears upon our paper, because they are not in the United States. They have a criminal capias pending for their arrest, and I do not think it's proper for them to give testimony before this committee. So after Judge Harris speaks, I'd like to be heard on that motion.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And well, we have a witness that comes up with respect to this judge that is a fugitive from justice, has multiple capias out for their arrest. They've been out of this country for multiple years. They've become a citizen of another state. And my view is that I think a commitment was made to this person before I became chair, or was announced that I was going to become chair at this meeting, that they would have the same 2 minutes to speak, the courtesy of 2 minutes to speak. Then I assume that's what I hope we do.
But our judges are all just working in secrecy and in colluding in criminal activity.
Your time is up, but thank you very much for hearing.
I think you should hear what Nick Spanos has to say.
Okay, the chair has ruled that Mr. Spanos can speak, and we're after 4 o'clock, and his 2 minutes will go by a lot quicker than our debate will.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator McDougle has essentially moved to overrule the ruling of the chair, and in light of Mr. Spanos' criminal charges and the fact his status as a fugitive from justice for many years, and the fact that he's got capias out for his arrest, not give him the courtesy of being heard. Is that correct?
correct.
Mr. Chair.
That he's in Greece and he's a fugitive from justice, and he's choosing not to return to this country. But a commitment was made that he could speak before a decision made before I assumed the chair, and I'm sticking with that decision. And I think that 2 minutes is going to go by quicker than our debate. If we want to vote on overruling the challenge of the chair or the ruling of the chair, we can have that vote.
Mr. Chairman, I made the motion, so.
Okay.
Not yet.
Well, is there a second? There's a second. Okay.
Mr. Chair, speaking to the motion.
That's the third time I've been called the speaker today.
Listen, folks, the individual may be a fugitive. I don't care if he's incarcerated in a maximum security prison. If a commitment was made to let him speak, let's give him his 2 minutes. I think if anybody, Judge Harris would be the first one to say, let's honor somebody's First Amendment rights, their rights to speak. One Supreme Court justice said it best: protecting speech that we loathe is of crucial importance. Let him give us 2 minutes, and then let's move on. All right, why deny him his 2 minutes, Mr. Chair? And I oppose the motion.
One other person can speak, I guess, in favor of the motion. Okay, all in favor of overruling the ruling of the chair that Mr. Spanos can speak, say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Okay, the ruling of the chair is sustained. Mr. Spanos, once you are on the screen, you have 2 minutes, and I'm going to strictly enforce that.
My name is Nickolas Spanos. I am accused of being the hub of a 600-kilo cocaine organization that operated in the Richmond area for over 10 years, which involved white, affluent, middle to upper class businessmen, lawyers, and physicians, several being McGuire Woods clients. White nationalism is the belief, theory, or doctrine that white people are inherently superior to people from all other racial and ethnic groups, deserving preferential treatment and special legal protections. My case is highly irregular, rotten with corruption, and has become a house of cards. 3 generations of Henrico County Commonwealth's attorneys have put more effort in keeping me protected in exile than having me extradited to stand trial for the 13 indictments, even dismissing federal UFAP warrants twice so I could renew my U.S. passport twice. I'd been arrested in the Philippines and held for extradition for 19 months, while Shannon Taylor refused to file an extradition request, despite the U.S. FBI and the Philippine DOJ demanding an extradition request be filed. Otherwise, they had no choice but to deport me back to my safe haven of Greece. Judge Harris has lost complete control over my case in his attempt to conceal the corruption and protect his long-standing friends. Judge Harris has broken almost every judicial canon in my case. He has deprived me and 3 people of color numerous constitutional rights, refused to recuse himself despite knowing a serious conflict of interest exists, had illegally ordered Henrico County clerk staff to deny me my public case documents. He has had several ex parte meetings to make prearranged biased decisions concerning my motions filed. Judge Harris recognized that my court pleadings had been tampered with, filings with evidence removed, and yet never reported this to authorities. Has made numerous false statements to the courts, even stated he is not a lawyer and the rules of professional conduct do not apply to him. He has obstructed justice, he has violated federal and state laws, refused to report the white nationalist court officials to law enforcement authorities. Judge Harris convicted 3 men of color despite knowing that the investigation's testimony were based on false statements and exculpatory evidence was never provided to the black defendants. Judge Harris sentenced 3 men of color, yet protected white middle to upper class affluent professionals from being investigated and charged for the exact same felony crimes. All this and much more, just to support and protect his long-standing friends at McGuire Woods, Howard Vick and Richard Cullen, with their white nationalism doctrine. Judge Harris recognized and supported white nationalism in the Henrico Circuit Court for over 23 years, with most of his unethical actions taking place in the past 4 years, protecting white professionals from being exposed for narcotics trafficking. To reappoint Judge Harris, allowing him to continue his unethical and criminal conduct would reinforce that white nationalism is tolerated in the Virginia justice system.
Thank you very much. You've had the opportunity to submit to us in writing your concerns, and they take more than 2 minutes to read. Judge Harris, you can respond. You don't have to respond.
The only thing I would say is Mr. Spanos is not before the court.
Well, thank you for being here this afternoon. Appreciate your service very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The thing I would say is Mr. Spanos is not before the court.
Well,
The thing I would say is Mr. Spanos is not before the court.
well,
Judge Harris is correct. I am not before the court. His words ring hollow because Judge Harris is preventing me from being before the court. Henrico County Commonwealth Attorney Shannon Taylor is preventing me from being before the court. This is a motion for transportation to be provided by the Commonwealth of Virginia that I filed, allegedly filed on December 4th, 2018. I say allegedly because this copy that you're about to see is the wet copy. The wet copy was never filed in the Henrico County Commonwealth's in the Circuit Court clerk's office. The wet copy was intercepted and destroyed. This is the email copy that I sent as part of the service procedure to Michael Feimel and Shannon Taylor. It is a 3-page motion, very simple. I even quote the law that statutes, Supreme Court, that the Commonwealth is obligated to transport a fugitive to the jurisdiction of which he is sought. The government has to make a serious effort to extradite a fugitive that is overseas. And as you see, it's very simple. Even states that I did not have a U.S. passport. It was canceled by the U.S. Embassy. There's an active Interpol red notice for my arrest. I cannot travel outside Greece without proper documentation from the U.S. DOJ and Federal Marshal escort. No commercial airline would allow me to board as long as I have an Interpol red notice warrant out on me and a federal UFAP warrant. And the last page is a signature page. And as you see, it's in blue there. This, as I said before, this had never reached the clerk's office. Now I am showing you what was filed by Michael Feinmel with the Henrico County Clerk's Office. The procedure is that the Henrico County Circuit Court clerk has to receive the original wet copy, stamp it, and file it. On the day that Michael Feinmel received, December 3rd, he took the first page copy, and you can see where it's filed and stamped on December 4th. There is Judge Harris on the same day says, denied unless I submit myself to law enforcement officers. There's his hidden initials. There's no signature page, and there's no second page. Now, these copies are from the Henrico County Circuit Court clerks that sent to the Virginia Court of Appeals transmittal. And you can see page 203, page 204, and then Judge Harris's final order on December 7th of 2018, which you see at the bottom there, it says 205. So they are in sequence. Nobody's tampered with this. This is the Henrico County Circuit Court's original file. Now, we have a letter from me to the Athens FBI, to Agent Eris Papadakos. This was done on March 20th, 2018. This was before I filed my motion to dismiss with prejudice in September. I started making arrangements to return to Henrico County. As I said, I have a pending Interpol red notice warrant and a UFAP warrant at that point in time. I could not travel on my own. Henrico County Commonwealth's attorney is responsible for my transportation. It is their case. They have jurisdiction. I wrote to him. I gave him Shannon Taylor and Michael Feinmel's email address, contact information. I even attached July 30th, 2014 extradition request that they filed in Greece after I was arrested in the Philippines and held for 19 months, and they refused to file an extradition request. They waited until I got back to my safe haven to file an extradition request to Greece, which they knew Greece would deny, because at that point I was a Greek citizen. I had dual citizenship, United States and Greek citizenship, and they knew that the Greek government would deny it, which they did. So I explained to him the situation. He contacted, he started to make arrangement for them to issue me a temporary passport and asked me to purchase my ticket. Well, that's not the procedure. The Commonwealth Attorney's Office arranges for my ticket to be paid. It would have been maybe a $700 to $800 ticket, one way to have me brought back to the United States. Remember, I am accused of being the hub of a 600 kilo cocaine operation in Richmond. Street value, $24 million. And Shannon Taylor is saying that she doesn't want to pay for an airline ticket of $700 to bring me back and prosecute me. Here I state to him that the Commonwealth of Virginia is responsible for the flights and transportation. I am considered a fugitive from justice, and it is their obligation to arrange these details. Even if I wanted to get on the plane, I wouldn't be able to get on the plane. I needed a U.S. Marshal escort, and I needed Shannon Taylor's documentations and all that. Now, this is April 11th, where Iris Papadakis responds and says, I was informed by the authorities in Henrico County they will not be paying for your airfare back to the United States. Please get with your attorney and decide how you would like to proceed. This is a follow-up letter on May 17th that I sent after I was contacted by the FBI an agent, Mark Knoll, and said that that they were not going to pay for my ticket either. Now, this is a quote from U.S. Attorney Olivia Norman of the Richmond Division, who says that she would expedite the procedure and she would facilitate it as much as she could, and that she spoke with the ACA, who told me he was prepared to go forward with the state charges. Let me know if you would like me to arrange transportation for Mr. Spanos to return to the USA to face these charges. Anyway, there is the documentation that I tried to turn myself in. I did turn myself into law enforcement authorities, the FBI, and Judge Harris refused to just sign an order to have me transported. Now, the next issue is a letter to me asking the Henrico County Clerk's Office to send me documents pertaining to my file. This was on November 9th, 2018. As you see, I've copied most of the clerks on there and also the judge's secretary. This is the response back on the same day from the clerk. Dear Mr. Spanos, per the Honorable Judge Harris, we are unable to respond to any more requests and or correspondence until such time as your case is commenced. Now, I have a right, just as anybody else, to obtain public documents from my case file from the Henrico County Circuit Court's office. This is not in Judge Harris's jurisdiction to verbally order 5 clerks to deny me access to my case files. He is violating my constitutional rights of due process. Why is he doing this? There's only one reason why he's doing this. He is protecting Howard Vick and Richard Cullen. This next email is from the Deputy Henrico County Clerk. I had a hearing on July 16th, 2020, where Judson Collier represented me in a verbal argument before the court. The Commonwealth Attorney, Michael Feimel, or the Deputy Commonwealth Attorney, Michael Feimel, had removed my motion to dismiss with prejudice, along with 38 exhibits of evidence from the Henrico County Clerk's Office. Judge Harris held a hearing on July 16, 2020, without my motion being in his file and without the exhibits of evidence. Judge Harris ruled on that motion on that day and ruled against me without the motion being before him. Now, this letter is on February 11th, 2021, when I appealed the decision to the Court of Appeals, and the Henrico County Circuit Court clerk had to transmit the file record there. That's the first time in 4 years I've been able to get a complete copy of my file, and many irregularities are in my file. But this is very significant because this shows that the Commonwealth Attorney was going in and they removed this file, and Judge Harris had a hearing. After the hearing, they realized that the motion was not in the file. So Michael Feimel, on July 22nd, 2020, 6 days after the hearing, files the motion again on my behalf. Again, Michael Feimel represents the Commonwealth of Virginia. He does not represent me. He is unethically representing me by filing my motions before the court. The deputy clerk even states here, the entry was not a duplicate file. We received it again from the Commonwealth Attorney's Office on July 22nd, 2020, without the exhibit list, just as we received the original motion in September 2018. However, this is not an exact copy of the motion. we received in September of 2018. It is to be filed again. Tampering with my motion, tampering with evidence. Why is Judge Harris allowing this? He knows this is going on. They were scared of what I put in my motion. And my motion exposed the corruption that's been going on in the Henrico County Commonwealth's Attorney's Office for over 23 years. Now, Judge Harris is making false statements to the court. In my ethics complaint filed in Louisa County against Judge Harris and Shannon Taylor, Michael Feinmel, Judge Harris, number 5, states, Spanos was served with the 13 indictments and the capias in Greece. I was served under the United States-Greek Extradition Treaty of 1932. As you well know, international treaties are considered under the Constitution of the Supremacy Clause, laws of the land. Judges are abided to respect the Supremacy Clause in international treaties. It overrides local law. So there it states, Spanos was served with the 13 indictments and capias in Greece. This is Judge Harris's response pleadings to the ethics complaint of white nationalism that I filed in Henrico County Circuit Court. Here, Judge Harris states in the introduction, because Spanos has never been served with the outstanding indictments. He's contradicted himself what he stated from 6 months prior. This is because in my pleading, I pointed out that Judge Harris stated in the Louisa County pleading that I had been served the indictments and capias. Now, this is very important because this triggers the Speedy Trial Act in my case. Once I have been served, the Commonwealth has 6 months to try my case. And this is why he is making false statements before a court. Judge Harris has no respect for the court. He has no respect for the Constitution. And he does as he pleases. He's been on the bench for, as Chairperson Deed said, close to 30 years. He believes this is his own private company and he can do as he pleases, when he pleases, whenever he pleases, to protect Howard Vick and Richard Cullen of McGuire Woods. In the same pleading in Henrico County, number 20. Moreover, Judge Harris is not an attorney. Thus, he is not subject to the discipline under the Virginia State Bar Rules of Professional Conduct. The Judicial Committee and every judge and every attorney knows that to be a judge in the Virginia courts, you have to be a licensed attorney with the Virginia State Bar in good standing for a minimum of 5 years. Judge Harris lies in this statement. Why he is lying? He's trying to escape under judicial immunity that because he breaks state and federal law and constitutional, he is protected by judicial immunity. That is not how judicial immunity works. If there was no judicial immunity, there would be no need for jerk or the Virginia State Bar or the Virginia State Bar Rules of Professional Conduct. Judge Harris is part of a white nationalist organization that is protecting affluent middle to upper class professionals that were part of a 600-kilo cocaine operation that operated in Richmond. When the indictments came out and they were announced, I was in Greece at the time. Lawyers, professionals, physicians, all went scrambling to their attorneys at McGuire Woods, and they went to Richard Cullen. And Richard Cullen offered Howard Vick a bribe to cover this up, to not extradite me, to not bring me back, to not face trial, because if I were to face trial, then these people would be exposed. They would have to be called in as witnesses in my case, and their names would be exposed to the public. And we are talking high-profile physicians, lawyers, and businessmen. In June of 1999, as you know, Howard Vick resigned early as the Commonwealth Attorney to go join McGuire Woods law firm. Richard Cullen kept his promise. He gave Howard Vick a partner's position, and Howard Vick accepted the bribe. This is a plain and simple bribe. There is not a prosecutor in the world that would not have filed an extradition request for me, or at minimum, in the early years, all he had to do was contact the State Department, cancel my passport, and inform Greek officials, and they would have arrested me before I even unpacked my suitcase. Even so, he could have had me extradited. It would have been a feather in his hat. You can run from the law, but you can't hide. We will bring you back. He would have made an example for every fugitive in Virginia and probably in the country. 600 kilos of cocaine back in 1998-99 had a street value of $24 million. Howard Vick knew this. He went against his sworn oath, and he protected me because he used his contacts. James B. Comey, that was the U.S. Attorney in 2001, they falsified FBI documents stating that Greece and the United States did not have an extradition treaty, and he had the federal UFAP warrant dismissed on July 6, 2001. These are news articles from the Richmond Times-Dispatch during this time period. Drug suspect kept a little black book. I can have all these made available to you and email them, or I will post them online. Hub of a conspiracy to distribute more than half a ton of cocaine in the Richmond area, and kept a little black book and computer file with names of his drug contacts, court records indicate. And there's my name. You're talking about physicians, doctors, lawyers. Another article, which I responded back stating that that this was a witch hunt. I'd been persecuted for 2 years. The Henrico police were illegally searching my house, my car, my property, and they found no evidence of any type of drug activity. They were harassing me, and as I was told by my attorney, Murray Janice, Nick, they want you so bad that they might go as far as planting evidence on you. This was about a custody battle with the mother of my son. And she, in order to try to get complete custody, she lied before Judge Harris in the custody hearings, which Murray Janice caught her in making numerous false statements. Before Judge Harris, not more than 6 months prior, these indictments coming out. And also evidence was shown that she was had attempted suicide before the grand jury hearings, and had been involuntarily committed to St. Mary's Hospital Psychiatric Ward for a 72-hour suicide watch. This was the Commonwealth's main witness with no evidence. These are other articles. And I'm going to scroll forward to when I was arrested in the Philippines. Michael Fiamel was arrested on October 18th, 2012. Michael Fiamel unsealed the indictments on November 2nd, 2012, and had a capias issued and started the extradition procedure. He was stopped by Shannon Taylor, and they never filed the affidavit for extradition with the U.S. DOJ Office of International Affairs. After being held for 4 months, my attorney in the Philippines asked me, "What's going on? Why aren't they filing for extradition? Are you sure you have indictments out for you?" So I put my sister to go and get a copy of the indictments, if there was. And the Richmond Times-Dispatch picked up that I had been arrested. Somebody tipped them off. And here's the article that is ran. Here she states, Henrico County Commonwealth Shanna Taylor said Thursday, it is not clear when the former seafood dealer could be returned to the country. Of course it's not clear because she never filed an extradition request. The FBI and the Philippines DOJ were demanding that she file an extradition request, and she would not file it. They even quote Howard Vick in here. Vick said in an email Thursday that he was aware that Spanos had been arrested. He had predicted in 1999 that it would happen. I'm fully confident Nick Spanos will stand trial in Henrico County Circuit Court. It's highly ironic because Howard Vick didn't even lift a finger to have my U.S. passport canceled, and much less file an extradition request. But yet he's making these great predictions in the newspaper. Shannon Taylor is part of this white nationalism doctrine, because it would have been a feather in Shannon Taylor's hat. She had just assumed the Commonwealth Attorney's Office in 2012. 10 months into it, she's tipped off that I'm arrested in the Philippines, and she could have brought me back. And she would have said, you see, we brought back one of the most wanted fugitives in Virginia. We brought him back, and we are going to try him for distributing 600 kilos of cocaine in the Richmond area. Yet she did nothing. Why? Because she was protecting the same affluent middle to upper class professionals, lawyers, physicians, and businessmen.
The thing I would say is Mr. Spanos is not before the court.
Well,
The thing I would say is Mr. Spanos is not before the court.
Mr. Spanos is not before the court because Judge Harris, Shannon Taylor, Michael Feimel, Howard Vick, and Richard Cullen, who is head of the shadow government in Virginia, as you well know, did not want Mr. Spanos before the court. Mr. Spanos has given evidence that his files have been tampered with, evidence has been removed. He has offered to turn himself in to the FBI, which I did turn myself into the FBI. Shannon Taylor refused to make the arrangements. Judge Harris refused to sign a simple order for transport. Simple order. The case before the Henrico County that was filed on October 6, 2021, giving evidence of this white nationalist doctrine by the 9 defendants, is beyond belief that a judicial system is operating like this. These people, affluent business people that testified against me to law enforcement authorities, they also had committed a Class 5 felony, intent to distribute a controlled, Class 2 controlled substance. It has a penalty of 5 to 40 years, the first offense, with a $500,000 fine. These well-known physicians and lawyers were buying and selling cocaine. They did not testify in my trial to be given immunity for their testimony. They admitted to law enforcement officers that they bought and sold large amounts of cocaine from me, allegedly. Why didn't these police officials or the Commonwealth's attorney report them to the Virginia State Bar or report them to the Virginia Medical Association? Yet they tried 3 people of color, and they went to prison, but they gave a pass to 30 to 40 affluent, middle to upper class professionals. This is why Judge Harris should not be reappointed. the Senate and the House should give a clear message to judges that if you break the law, if you are unethical, and you partake in a white nationalist organization that protects white professionals or white people in general, then we will not tolerate this behavior. Is this the man you want to reappoint? Judge Harris. And I have thousands of documents. I have documents from the FBI that I received this past year from the Freedom of Information Act. I have court documents. I have so many documents to prove about this white nationalism. The House and the Senate, you should open up an investigation into these people and find out what is going on in Henrico County, because this is not a justice system. This is a protected star chamber. Judge Harris did not commit violations once or twice. These are 20 to 30 violations that he committed over the past 4 years, which I have evidence of, and I'm glad to provide to the House and Senate. Thank you for your time, and I will be available to provide documents or any evidence that you have questions about.